Hello everyone and welcome to week 8 of our class. I want to begin this week's lecture talking about your annotated bibliographies. As you know, they were assigned to you last week, and I'm sure you've all looked at the directions, which includes a 2 to 3 page introduction/narrative. It also must be properly formatted in MLA Works Cited. And also, following each source should be a paragraph that offers both a summary and an analysis. As you know, the annotated bibliographies are worth 100 points, and you'll see here how each of those points will break down for the various components of the assignment. That is 40 points for your introduction, 20 points for being properly formatted in MLA. So as an aside, for those of you who were somewhat lax in your MLA formatting, for your advertisement analysis, you want to make sure that you pay particular attention to that format. And finally, you'll also notice that the summary and analysis paragraphs are also worth 40 points. Now, let's break down the assignment. For the annotated bibliography introduction, you're going to want to provide a brief history of the issue you have chosen. You're going to want to use descriptive language. That is, you'll want to paint a picture for your readers. Remember to include your practical wisdom or tale of comparable experience with the issue. What will you be arguing and why is it important? The works cited. You'll notice again, looking at the example that I provided, that each source should be properly formatted in the works cited MLA guidelines. Again, use the OWL at Purdue as a guideline for this formatting. Make sure you are only using scholarly resources. So, for example, if you have not looked at the research videos from last week, you will absolutely want to look at that before you proceed. For your annotated bibliography, there should be 5 sources. I will not allow any websites at this point, that is .coms or .edus. You will only be able to use scholarly journal articles and books for the annotated bibliography assignment. You'll also see that the third component of this assignment are the summarizing paragraphs. They should follow each source, should be single space, and also should indicate that you have read the material. And you will want to explain why the source is useful to your project. So again, if I see paragraphs that are only 3 to 4 sentences, there will be points deducted. You should aim for about 7 to 10 sentences per paragraph. Again, don't procrastinate on this assignment as it does require a bit of thought and, of course, thoughtful research. You'll notice under last week's content, I provided an annotated bibliography example from a student in a previous class. Now, when you're looking at this, I want you to look at the format, not so much the content. So, quite literally, your final project should physically look like that example because it is properly formatted and does follow the criteria that I set forth. Now let's move on to this week's material. I want to hold off on Heinrich's discussions of figures of speech until I introduce your next assignment, which is the presentations. So we'll just hold off on that portion of your reading until a few weeks from now. What I'd like to talk about vis-a-vis your reading is kairos, or what the timing has to do with it. Kairos is the art of seizing the perfect instant for persuasion. It is where you spot an opening in an argument, and fleeting moments are essential to changing an audience's mind about a particular issue. Some examples of bad kairos might be asking your partner if you can buy that really expensive thing when he or she is paying all the bills, and it's a moment of stress, as Heinrich points out with his interaction with his wife. Another example of bad kairos, which students might be more familiar with, is asking your teacher for an extension on a project the day it is due. Some examples of good kairos are when an audience's mood or beliefs are on the move. That is when you have a persuasive moment. You can create a persuadable moment by changing or pinpointing your audience. The most important thing to remember when seizing kairos or timing is that it is best to do this in times of uncertainty, change, or need. Evidence that challenges previously held beliefs. Some examples of this might be President Obama's election back in 2008. You'll see that he ran his campaign on change and hope, which was something that was very different from the mood of the nation at the time. And also pulling out of Iraq, which capitalized on previously held beliefs having to do with weapons of mass destruction. Once we learned that they were no longer relevant, we became open to having a new president in office. As you can imagine, this week's password for the quiz is Kairos with a capital K. Please feel free to email me or post questions to discussion board if you have any of those concerns or questions. For the peer review, which will be due at the end of the week by 11:59 p.m., I will create another forum under discussion board. You may, of course, use the partner that you had for the definition assignment if that worked out for you. If not, you can, of course, avail yourself of the means through discussion board or email to get another partner. Have a great week.